man who is the cornerstone of the team, the franchise player, a young man who has left his mark on the city and the NBA world, is out for the rest of the season.
On February 20th, 2025, the NBA season didn't just lose a player. It lost an answer to a question we didn't even know we were asking. Victor Wembanyama, in the middle of a historic sophomore campaign, was shut down. The diagnosis, deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder, a serious and potentially career-threatening condition discovered just after his first All-Star appearance. In an instant, the runaway Defensive Player of the Year campaign was over. The All-NBA bid erased by the league's 65-game requirement. The trajectory of the San Antonio Spurs thrown into question. All that was left were the numbers from 46 games. But that's the word, isn't it? Interrupted. The biggest question skeptics ask is a fair one. Is 46 games enough to call it a masterpiece? Was this a genuine revolution or just a tantalizing glimpse of what might have been? The data holds the answer, and it's more definitive than you think. To understand what was lost, we have to understand what was built. In his rookie year, Wembanyama was a phenomenon. In his second, he became a problem. His scoring jumped from 21.4 to 24.3 points per game. But the real story isn't the what, it's the how. His effective field goal percentage jumped by a significant margin, a huge leap when you factor in how much more responsibility he took on. He didn't just adapt to the modern game. He started to redefine what a player his size could do offensively, from 32.5% to a respectable 35.2%. This wasn't just a player adding a shot. This was a 7'4" weapon of mass destruction, recalibrating his attack radius. He became a walk-in checkmate, a queen on the chessboard able to attack from any angle, forcing the entire game to revolve around his position. This wasn't an accident, it was a plan.
Get physical, got that shot blown up.
Wemby, Wemby fading away inside the paint. Got it to go! Switched it! Wemby pulling up again. Oh, he's putting back-to-back threes!
Absolutely. He's more of a perimeter player than he is a post player. We wanted to be able to do everything, isolate, shoot, do the whole deal. We just can't do it all at once.
Coach Popovich was intentionally unleashing Wembanyama on the perimeter, fast-tracking a development that would make him, in the words of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, unstoppable. But the offense was just the opening act. Wembanyama's defense is where he stops being a star and starts looking like a cheat code. The numbers are frankly hard to believe. With Wembanyama on the court, the Spurs had a defensive rating of 108.4, which would rank 5th in the entire NBA elite. With him on the bench, that number ballooned to 115, ranking 25th. The Spurs transformed from one of the league's worst defenses into one of his best the second he stepped on the floor. Let me put that number in context. Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year and a generational defender, peaked at a 10-point swing in his best years. Wembanyama shattered that mark as a sophomore. He didn't just make the Spurs better, he made them competitive in games they had no business being in. This is what we call defensive gravity. It works like Steph Curry's offensive pull, but in reverse. With Curry, defenses are pulled out to the three-point line, creating space inside. With Wembanyama, offenses were actively repelled from the paint. Their shot charts visibly warped away from the rim, with teams settling for tough mid-range jumpers just to stay out of his orbit. He didn't just block shots leading the league with 3.8 per game, he erased entire offensive philosophies. When Wembanyama was the contesting defender, opponents shot a staggering 21 percentage points worse in the restricted area than the league average.
Guarded by Wemby. Filipowski. No way! No way against Wemby! But given to Collins. Wemby, another block! Back-to-back Wemby blocks!
He also tightened up the details. As a rookie, he'd sometimes chase blocks at the expense of positioning. This year, he cut down on unnecessary fouls and made smarter contests, using his length to alter shots without leaving his feet. His block-to-foul ratio was an unheard of 1.68. nearly double the rate of the league's other elite shot blockers. The result was more stops, fewer free throws for opponents, and longer stretches where he could stay in the game. He wasn't just playing defense. He was creating a bubble around the basket where offense went to die. If you're learning something new about how Wembanyama breaks the game, do us a favor and tap the like button. It tells YouTube to share this breakdown with more fans. Which brings us back to the central question. 46 games. Is it enough? The eye test says yes. The on-off data says yes. But to truly measure a historical season, you need to compare it to history. So, let's put Wembanyama's sophomore season against the sophomore campaigns of four of the greatest big men to ever play the game. Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, and LeBron James. We're not just looking at their individual stats, we're looking at their impact on winning. How good were their teams, specifically on defense, the area where a young big man can make his mark? Let's start with LeBron James. In his second year, his Cavs had a defense rating of 105.7, ranking 12th in the league, a solid playoff contender. Now let's add Shaq. His sophomore Magic had a defensive rating of 106.7, 15th in the league, but their net rating was a strong plus 4.1, good for 9th overall. Hakeem's Rockets, a 107.6 defensive rating, 14th in the league, but a net rating that put them 4th overall. Now look at Wembanyama's on-court numbers. A defensive rating of 108.4, which will rank 5th in the entire NBA. A net rating of .3.7, which will rank 8th. The numbers are clear. With Wembanyama on the floor, the Spurs performed at a level comparable to the playoff teams led by sophomore Shaq and LeBron. And his defensive impact anchored a unit that was statistically better than all of them, except for one. The championship-winning Spurs led by Tim Duncan and David Robinson, one of the greatest defensive front courts ever assembled. Wembanyama did it virtually alone. When he sat, the Spurs played like a bottom 5 team in the NBA. So yes, 46 games was enough. It was enough to lead the league in total blocks despite missing nearly half the season. It was enough to post stats not seen since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And it was enough to prove that his impact wasn't just historic for a sophomore, it was simply historic, period. But a masterpiece is more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the artist. And the most terrifying thing for the rest of the NBA is that the artist is only getting better. While recovering, Wembanyama didn't rest. He sought new ways to strengthen his body and mind, famously spending time at a Shaolin temple in China, training in Kung Fu. It's the mindset, this relentless pursuit of improvement that has legends of the game watching in awe.
So I'm thinking about Vic. I'm sure the whole basketball world is thinking about him right now. But somebody like that who has a strong mind, I'm looking forward to seeing him back out there.
His 46-game season was a paradigm shift. It proved that a single player can be a defensive system. It showed that a 7'4" frame can be a perimeter weapon. It forces front offices to rethink everything they know about team building. Victor Wembanyama's interrupted masterpiece gave us the blueprint for a revolution. Now the San Antonio Spurs have to build it. With draft picks and cap space, the possibilities are endless. So the question is, if you were the GM, what's the next move to complete this masterpiece? Let us know your blueprint in the comments below. And if you love this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and tag another basketball fanatic to join the conversation.